The United Stand pre-season tour sponsored by Manscaped. Discover the power of 3 with Manscaped's unique trimmers. Get the right tools for the job at manscaped.com. Manscaped, your body will thank you.
Yeah. 2 more things. Scott McTominay. Sources close to West Ham last night were reporting that West Ham's interest is in Conor Gallagher or Scott McTominay. A report came in this morning that Chelsea will reject a £40 million offer for Conor Gallagher. They want £50 million for Conor Gallagher. Manchester United apparently want north of £40 million for Scott McTominay. Now, Man United need to be very careful here. Crystal says, nothing to do with the topic. I'm so glad we got Martinez. I couldn't imagine having to deal with him and Timber every season against the Gunners, says Crystal. And thank you very much for that. Welcome to the Club about Vegas. So this really interests me because Man United, like, I'm just going to say it, like, Man United should be taking 30 million for Scott McTominay now. Like, that's what they should take. West Ham will pay it, especially when Chelsea want over 40 for Conor Gallagher. Sell McTominay for 30 million now and get the best price you'll ever get. He's 27 in December. He's not going to play much next year. His value next summer will be 20 million. It's never going to go up. So take the 30 million and move him on. And let him go and play first team football for David Moyes. Like, I don't know why we're pricing him out of a move here. I really don't know. And look, I know there's people out there that think McTominay's worth 35 million. Fine. But he hasn't had a good game for United since September. That's nearly a year ago. He's had some good games for Scotland. Fine. But as a Premier League midfielder for Man United, he's not had a good game in nearly a year. He's 27 this year. Over the last 7 years, you could probably count the good games on 1, maybe 2 hands. £30 million to West Ham, do the deal, move on. Because if you don't do the deal, how many games is he going to play for us next season? Not many. You've got Eriksen, Bruno, Mount. You've got Casemiro, hopefully Amrabat, Mainu. He ain't going to play many games, so his value is going to depreciate. Just cash in at 30 million. I don't know who's valuing him at over 40 million, but they're having a laugh. You can't get 40 million pounds for a midfielder that hasn't had a good game since September, isn't a first team player, and isn't going to be a first team player this year. You've just got to do a deal. And I think there's a good, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I just think everyone's got a price. I think it'd be a good signing for West Ham. I really do. I think he suits West Ham. He's brilliant in the air. Absolutely brilliant in the air. He wins a lot of headers, and the way West Ham play, he'd be a real asset for them. But United have got to pitch it at a good price, because I'd want Conor Gallagher over Scott McTominay. So don't pitch him in at the same price. Pitch him a little bit lower. Obviously, Chelsea are thinking they've got the Declan Rice money. Let's get 50 million for Conor Gallagher. He's not worth that. United should just say to West Ham, you know what? 35 million for McTominay. You can have him. Keep an eye on it. I think it's a great deal for everyone. I think it's a great deal for United. I think it's a great deal for West Ham, and I think it's a great deal for McTominay. But it's a bad deal for United if we price him at a price he's not worth, and then in a year's time, it's Jesse Lingard all over again. West Ham offer 25 million, we say no, and then a year later, he's walking out the door for nothing. And, you know, I think Lingard would have been better off going to West Ham for 25 million. His career's fallen apart. Man United got no money. I think it's there to be done. Phase, here we go. Hoyland summer heat wave incoming, says Sean Dunn. I don't know what happened to our... Did I even do that poll? What happened to the poll? I don't know what happened to the poll. Don't know what happened with that. Also, let's have a read of some of the chats. Sal Fred, Donny and Scott, says DFS. Yeah, look, it's a new phase, isn't it? I think for Fred, Donny and Scott, you probably get about 70 million quid in your skyrocket. Fred, Donny and Scott go. We wouldn't miss any of them. We'd wish them all the best. 70 million quid. Happy days. That's how a club works. We spend so much time looking at Chelsea going, look at all the money they're raising. Look at all the money they're raising. But we can raise some good money. McTominay, Fred, Donny, 70 million. Easy 70 million there. Henderson, another 25. That's 95. You've just had 5 from Tellez. That's 100. Maguire, 35, 135. Brandon Williams, maybe another 540. Alanga, 15, 145. You've just raised 150 million quid without, Bay, 5 million, 150 million. It's not, and that's all reasonable prices as well. 150 million quid just like that. It's not impossible, but Will we do it? Adam says, what about Martial? Well, you've just, Adam, you can have a job as my sister because you've just, not my sister. I don't need another sister. But you can be my sister because you've just set me up for a very easy tap in here as we move to what Erik ten Hag had to say about Anthony Martial in his press conference last night. I think this morning's probably been one of the best morning shows. And the morning show's good. But I feel that my performance is probably a 9 out of 10. And that's being big-headed. I think I'm going to thank the coffee, but also the chat and the topics. It's been an elite show. I've absolutely enjoyed this one. Erik ten Hag on Anthony Martial. Today he was in the team training. He's a brilliant football player and he will score goals. We hope he will get fit and stay fit. It is easier when you have a striker in your team. That's got, tell you what, that's got more layers than Shreddies. That is absolutely brilliant. More layers than a Goldbridge lasagna, and I put loads of layers in mine. I normally start off with a white sauce base, then I put a pasta layer, then I put the bolognese, bit of white sauce again, pasta layer, white sauce this time, bolognese, white sauce, and then cheese. Loads of layers to my lasagna. Elite my lasagna. But anyway, Scott and Slab 70 million package to West Ham, so Sab Watson. Honestly, I'd give West Ham Maguire and McTominay for 60. I would. Considering the wages of Maguire, I would. Anthony Martial. I think there's layers to what Ten Hag says here. The very last sentence, when you have a striker in your team, it's easier. Obviously, that's really relevant. Again, Adam asked him about it at the weekend. He's mentioned it a couple of times since. He's clearly not happy that he hasn't got any strikers. So, obviously that's a very important line. But then on to Martial himself. There'll be people in the chat quite rightly saying, I don't believe Erik ten Hag. I've heard him say Ronaldo's a massive part of his plans and he's been gone in a month. I've heard him say David De Gea is a great, great goalkeeper and then he threw him under the bus and got rid of him for Onana. So, it's, of course, you never know with Ten Hag. He could say that Martial's the best striker in the world and then sell him to Stoke tomorrow. But he has always consistently been a big fan of Anthony Martial. And the detail he gives when he talks about Martial last season suggests to me that he does like Martial. Because he talks about his ability to hold up the play, the intelligent runs he makes. And look, if Martial could stay fit for 80% of the season, I think he'd be our starting number 9. I think Ten Hag really does like Martial. And I think Ten Hag's similar to me and maybe some of you. I like Martial. Like, people would confuse that I don't like Martial because I want us to sell him. I like Martial. But it's like me saying, I like my Oasis CD, definitely maybe. But it's snapped in two. It doesn't work. I love it. I've had it since I was like 13. And I've always kept it in its box, but it's been broken for 12 years. Don't ask me why it got broken. Somebody broke it because they knew it would hurt me. But ultimately, I've kept it because I remember going down to HMV in Nottingham all those years ago and buying Definitely Maybe on CD. And I've kept it and I love it. But it won't work anymore because it's been snapped in two. And that's how I feel about Martial. But I don't want to keep him because I think he's a good player. I want him to go because he doesn't offer us anything. So I think Ten Hag really does like Martial. And obviously no one's going to buy Martial. So we'll end up keeping him, of course. But he can't rely on him. He can't rely on him. And I think that it's just going to be a bonus, like I said on the show last night. It's a bonus what you can get out of Martial. So, look, I think Ten Hag likes Martial. It's good that he's back fit. Will he be involved against Real Madrid? Maybe. But I don't know.